Hi, I'm Vernon L. Bowling, and welcome to another edition of Focus. As I hope you know, Focus has been on the air for over 40 years. We've been continuing to bring you, the African American community, problems, accomplishments, as well as successes that we've had within the African American community. Don't touch that remote. Matter of fact, you can get your pencils or papers together and write down some information that we're going to give to you that's going to be very important that you probably can use later. We'll be right back with more Focus after these messages.
Little things that might seem simple could have such a big impact. I'm putting my effort towards an outcome. You have to put effort into it to be part of a community. When you play the lottery, your money stays here in Arizona. It actually goes back to your community. You're helping out your state.
We want to share that with our kids, that love for being outdoors, and that's what we're doing. Seeing them run around and pick up a stick and be like, "Look at this, Daddy." They get their little lanterns and they walk around with those and looking at bugs and hearing noises and wondering what everything is. I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. Frankly, I didn't really know that the lottery supports natural preservation. So it's a big plus of playing.
As an elder, it is my responsibility to pass down whatever information I have gathered over the years through my experiences to the next generation. We have to prepare the next generation to take the baton, so to speak, and run with it. But we have to make sure that we are listening to our elders. There are folks in our midst who have laid the foundation for all of us, and we have to pay homage to them. We have to honor and respect them. We have history makers in our midst, and I am blessed and honored to be in the midst of a history maker today. Please help me to welcome Mr. Calvin C. Goode. Mr. Goode has been in our community for many, many years, laying foundations, doing incredible and wonderful things for us, people of color, and people in the Phoenix metropolitan area. Mr. Goode, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, now, Mr. Goode, you were born in 1927, and it seems as if you have been doing the work ever since you were a young man. You are 88 years old.
89.
89. You see, you put your age up after a while. You know, you don't mind telling the age after a while. So you're 89 years old. You were married for 55 years to Mrs. Georgie Goode, who we all loved and honored as well. And you were 22 years on the Phoenix City Council. And you are the father of 3 sons, you're a grandfather, and you are one of the founders of the George Washington Carver Museum and Cultural Center. So when we first got here, we had to wait for you because you were at Congressman Gallego's office advocating for a young woman and her student loan. When are you going to really retire?
And the Lord indicate that I should.
So apparently that message hasn't come through.
Not yet.
Well, you ain't paid it no mind if it did. Okay, so let's talk about Calvin Goode, the man that we don't see. We always see Calvin Goode, the advocate, the activist, the man who is doing incredible things in our community, the politician. But we never see Calvin Goode, the man, the father. What really makes you laugh, Mr. Goode? Because I don't know if I've ever seen you really, I mean, I've seen you smile. You have this beautiful smile, but I've never seen you really laugh and just kind of let your guard down. What has to happen for that to happen?
I am more an even-tempered person. I don't do much of that, but now and then I do.
So what the last thing you laughed at, what was it? What made you smile really big?
Trying to remember, but I think I'm smiling now.
Yeah, you are. Real handsome smile, too. Okay, so now we got to laugh, so we see that women make you laugh.
Some do.
Some, okay, and some probably just, well, we won't even go there. So now, you're a grandfather, right?
Yes,
Now, I'm quite sure those grandchildren make you laugh.
they do, and we're proud of our sons and the 6 grandchildren that we have.
6 grandchildren. Now, do you know the ages of them? Do you remember the ages of the grandchildren?
Well, 2 of them just graduated from ASU, so they're in
Oh.
20, 21, 22, somewhere in that age bracket. There's another one in high school. He must be 2 years younger. And then the youngest daughter, granddaughter, she's only about 8 or 9 years old.
Right, and I've seen all of your grandchildren, and they're absolutely beautiful. As are your 3 sons and your daughter-in-laws. I mean,
Yes,
you have
they are.
an incredible family, a wonderful family. But now, tell me, what do you enjoy doing other than advocating for someone and being out there making sure that everything is right in our community? What other kinds of things do you like to do?
I don't have many other things in my schedule. Now and then I'll go to a movie. Now and then I'll go to a play, political rallies, and some of those kind of things.
So your whole life is about advocacy. I mean, everything you do, other than going to the movies, is about ensuring I guess the economic development of our city, to ensure that our kids have proper education and that we're not overpaying in student loans, which is what you were doing today, correct? So what about Carver? Let's talk about Carver, because you were one of the ones who made sure that school, you went to Carver High School.
Yes, I graduated in 1945 from Carver.
Right, and so you felt it important to open it again because it had been closed down for quite a number of years.
Yes, Tommy Williams and I went to the Board of Education and requested that they sell it to the Carver Monarchs, so they did.
So you were instrumental in opening up Carver Museum and or having it open after many years of it being closed down. What is your vision for Carver?
Certainly, it's a museum and a cultural center showcasing the contributions that African Americans have made to this city, this nation.
And have you gotten the kind of support you need in order to make it what it is you had envisioned it to be?
Well, I'm pleased with some of the support we've gotten, but we're now having a financial problem, and certainly I would welcome additional dollars.
So how would one make a contribution if someone wanted to make a donation or a contribution to make sure that we don't have these problems with Carver? How would they go about doing that?
Well, certainly they can send it to me, and I'll take it to Carver. I'm on the board.
Okay.
My address is 415 East. That's Carver, 415 East Grand Street. My address is 1508 East Jefferson Street, Phoenix, Arizona.
Well, we could find out. We could find the website, so we don't have to worry about that. So, what is your inspiration? What inspires you? Because you're always out there, and what inspires you?
Well, I see the need, and I feel that God put us here to do certain things. And I'm still trying to find out what all God wants me yet to do.
And so you speak of God, so you're a man of faith, obviously. And how do you find your faith influence your actions?
Well, I think they certainly are. The two are intertwined, and one has to have one to accomplish the other.
Okay, I have just so many questions to ask you. I wanted to ask you, but although it's very evident what your life's purpose is, and if you could sum it up, how would you define your life's purpose? And we could see it through your behavior, obviously. We can see it through your works. But if you would say what your purpose is in life, because people go through life not knowing what their purpose is. And sometimes they're working and they don't realize that is their purpose. They're doing the work, they're doing the service. But what would you sum up your life purpose as?
I've not given much thought to that question.
Really?
But certainly I believe that there's much to be done. And if we believe in God, we'll listen to Him and He'll help to guide you.
Now, Mr. Goode, what do you think about the killings of African American boys that's been prevalent in the media and in life?
The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." I don't like killing, certainly of the African American boys, but there are other killings also, and all of them are things that we ought not to do. But that's one of the 10 Commandments.
And what are your feelings? I know it shouldn't be done, of course, but are there any particular feelings, or are there any advocacy that you feel like you need to do on behalf of these young men and their families? Have you, you have the Black Lives Matter movement, for example. What do you think about the young folks and the Black Lives Matter movement?
I think that certainly they're needed. They're accomplishing a lot of good, but there's still yet more to be done because all lives matter.
All lives do matter, absolutely. All lives do matter, but unfortunately, it's the Black lives that are being consistently killed and destroyed.
That's unfortunate.
And it is very
I
unfortunate.
detest that, but that's one of the realism of our time.
Now, we asked about your inspiration and your purpose. We asked even what made you laugh. But what is it? What is the one thing every day? Like, what does a day in the life of Calvin Goode look like? Like, from the moment you wake up in the morning until you go to bed at night. What does your day look like?
Well, it varies from day to day, and sometimes it changes during the day.
That's good.
Certainly this portion of it is one that I'm very gratified that you've come to ask me these kinds of questions. I'm usually kind of a retiring person. I don't like the spotlight, and I do many, many things because I don't think it's necessary to try to showcase Calvin, but to try to get a job done.
Well, we think it's important to showcase Calvin because Calvin has made our voice. You have been our voice for a long time, and you continue to be our voice. And not only are you our voice, but you are our advocate. You are our savior. You are our elder, and we love you. We love you, and we honor and we appreciate you. So we want to kind of get a glimpse. Okay, maybe it's me. I want to get a glimpse into the day of Calvin Goode. So you wake up in the morning, right? What happens after you wake up in the morning?
It varies in terms of what the day issues are. And from time to time, for instance, this morning I went down to speak to Congressman Gallego about the high cost of attending college. When I went to college, I took a $75 fee and paid my fees. Now it costs thousands and thousands of dollars. In fact, the young lady I'm trying to get some assistance has a $100,000 debt. And we talk about education being affordable. And many of our young people don't have that kind of money, and I'm hoping that Congress or somebody will take up the cause and make education more affordable for all of our people.
And you said something, and I know you're much too humble and you're much too honorable to say what happened when you got there. So I'm going to say it because I have yet to grow into your honor and respect for politics. So you went to Congressman Gallego's office, and you told him about this young woman who is over $100,000 in debt, and because you felt that was just like over the top, and more than likely it's because of the interest paid or the interest that accrues. And what he did was he took it and he said he's going to take it and send it to Washington and let them handle it. So in other words, there was nothing he felt that he could do.
Well, I didn't see him today. I met him earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
The young lady today took the information and said she would send it to the office in Washington because that's where the young lady is now going to school, even though she incurred the debt here in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as though he feels that, she felt that they passed it on to where it ought to be. My advice to them was certainly they can pass laws in Congress to counteract what the education department has done to this young lady, and my understanding, it's a nationwide problem.
It is.
And folks can't attend college because they don't have the money to do so. And I think every elected official ought to be able to get together with others in Congress and pass some laws that would restrict the fact that the lady is 62 years old, $100,000 debt, and most of her money she pays every month goes for interest. It doesn't make sense to me. We talk about free and educational opportunities for many other young people, and that's something that's at the top of my list, and trying to push, be sure that we do have the ability to help students attend college.
And so, so Gallego's office, or the woman at Gallego's office, said that she was going to send it to Washington so that they could deal with it, because the woman is in school currently in Washington. Oh, she lives in Washington.
She
now.
lives in Washington and works in Washington.
But she
now.
went to school here, and so the debt was incurred here.
That is correct.
Right.
Now, the congressman wasn't there this morning. Previously, I had gone and gave him all of this information. And I find out that his office just sends it to the congressman in Washington, D.C.
So they don't do anything here. They just kind of pass the buck. Well, we will be coming back, Mr. Goode. We'll come back in a moment. We have, and right on time, here's the bell. We'll be back.
Little things that might seem simple could have such a big impact. I'm putting my effort towards an outcome. You have to put effort into it to be part of a community. When you play the lottery, your money stays here in Arizona. It actually goes back to your community. You're helping out your state.
Thanks for coming back. I'm Fatima Halim, and I am in the home of Calvin C. Goode, a pillar in our community, and certainly a history maker that's amongst us. Now, when we left Mr. Goode, we were talking about one of the things that you're doing now. You're very concerned in education, and particularly affordable education for our youth, and for those who want to return to school, because it's not only youth, because the woman that you are advocating for in this particular incident is 62 years old. So she went back to school, and she's still probably paying debt that she incurred many years ago. And the
debt now amounts to $100,000.
That's insane.
She'll never be able to pay it all.
Well, let's play a little bit at a time, little by little.
The amount she's paying now goes for interest only.
Well, that's what other kinds of, I have a lot to say about student loans, but I have a student loan as well that I pay every month what I can pay. So let me ask you about some of the other things that you're doing, because you're 89 years old. You don't seem to you don't plan on stopping. You said that you'll stop when God tells you to stop, and God has not told you to stop, or if you did, you didn't pay him no mind. But the point is that you're doing other things as well. Tell me about some of the other things that you're doing now.
Booker T. Washington Child Development Center is a Head Start program that we started in the basement of First Institutional Baptist Church. With 60 kids, we're up to 192.
Wow.
Head Start, 3 to 5 year old. I'm a strong advocate for that.
And I'm familiar with Booker T. Washington, run by Kim Collins. Yeah. And they recently had a children's book fair there. That was done by Nazla Dean. It was
15,
just very
19 each out.
Right, wonderful. And they're going to be having another one coming up too. So we had them on our show not too long ago. Good.
I'm real proud of the Tanner properties. We got 502 units of senior housing.
Wonderful.
You probably have heard of Tanner Gardens,
Tanner
Terrace, Tanner Apartments on Broadway, Grandparents Facility, and then one in Glendale.
But what is your association with that?
As president of the board, no pay, all volunteer. You probably have heard of the Booker T.
We got the school, Booker T. Washington, Booker T. Washington School.
Okay, verified. East Lake Park.
Across the street.
We got a recent grant where we upgraded it. And you know the outdoor
the amphitheater?
They named it after Georgia M. Goode and Calvin Goode.
Oh my God, how wonderful is that?
Folks thought I would be concerned. I said, no, she made a contribution too, so no problem with that.
So it's named after you and your wife.
Yes.
And Eastlake is looking so beautiful. When I was standing outside waiting, I looked across the street, and we're going to be having the rites of passage ceremony there next week, or this Saturday, as a matter of fact. And it's so beautiful.
There's a little plaque out there, so never notice the plaque when you go over there.
I will notice the plaque when I get out there. So you're on the board of Booker T. Washington. You're on the board of the Carvin Museum. You're on the board of here with Eastlake, and there was one more board that you had mentioned. Which one was that? Tanner Properties and all of that. So you are responsible for making sure that they're thriving.
And they are.
And they are. And what else are you doing?
Oh, well.
And then you're the grandfather, of course. Your granddad.
That's true.
And daddy.
I try to take up as much time as we have 6 grandchildren, 3 girls and 3 boys.
Right. So out of all of those things that you're involved in, from Carver to Tanner to Eastlake to Booker T. Washington to the advocacy, what do you think drives you the most? What is the one that really touches your heart the most?
I don't know how to quantify that because they're all programs that are dear to my heart. And I devote as much time as I can to those things.
That's such a political, that's the politician's answer. Go ahead, Mr. Goode.
One of the other things I'm concerned about is my area here.
Mm.
They're attempting to move in and build a lot of high-rises. It used to be the African-American community.
Gentrification.
So that's a big problem to me in terms of the coming in. Where is affordable housing? At the last meeting, the question I raised.
Mm-hmm.
But we're being pushed out gradually.
So where are they building? I mean, I didn't even know about that.
Well,
that's why we have you.
You look up here at 12th Street, you'll see new construction going up, and there's some more construction being planned. And as I go to these meetings, it seems as though the city is not too concerned with affordable housing. And I think we should be able to live too and not be pushed out.
So do you have the support from the community that you need in order for the city to begin to listen about this concern about affordable housing? Are there people who are working with you?
There are some. The Eastlake Park Association is working. But if you know city government, sometimes what they have designed for the city is what is handed down to us.
Whether we like it or not.
Despite we've been able to make some inroads, but they've approved a 100-foot building there at 12th Street. They were not able to build it because they couldn't get the financing, but they do have some more on the drawing board, and I told them to leave my property out of it.
So what will happen? What you're saying is that they're building these high rises, but they're not accommodating anyone, or they're not leaving any room for affordable housing. There's no accommodations for affordable housing.
They're not affordable housing.
So that's gentrification once again. That happens here, like it's happening all over the country.
But even though it's happening in other communities, I don't want it to happen in my community. But you go to a meeting and they vote, and even the Central City Village Planning Committee, there's 2 African Americans on that. They outvote us, and it's a big struggle.
So what can we do?
Well, we can continue to raise our objections, and I was hoping that I could get more of the churches involved in this because we got a lot of church folks in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And
we got 2 of the biggest churches in here in the black community.
But they're not involved the way I think they ought to. So I'm going to have to exert some more pressure there to see if I can't get them more involved in it. Many of them come from out living somewhere else, and I don't have a problem with that. But come here, and then on Sunday morning, and then they go back to their environment.
So we're looking at Pilgrim Rest, which is across the street, and then we're also looking at First Institutional. Those are the 2 large churches that you're referring to.
And then there's Tanner Chapel.
And then there's Tanner Chapel, right, over on 7, which is the oldest. And so I'm sure you've spoken to the bishop and to the pastors.
We have the person who's the president of the group has a church in this community, but he's trying to do what he can, and so often folks don't want to get involved in some of this struggle that we're facing.
Well, that's kind of sad, isn't it?
It is sad.
They don't want to get involved, but they'll complain about it.
Yeah. That's true in many instances.
Well, perhaps, hopefully, if someone sees this and someone from either of the churches that we're referring to sees this, then they will, maybe they'll talk to their pastors, and then maybe there can be more involvement, because the church has a very strong voice. I mean, they always have, and we don't even want to begin to think that they are not going to help you out this time. Well, it's not even helping you, it's helping their community.
That's true.
Yeah.
Every week I get a notice of someone who wants to buy my property. I have 10 parcels of property in this area, but I'm not going to sell. Right. And I told them, leave my property out of this high rises that you're planning. Good. As a statement.
Good for you.
And they promised to do that.
Well, I knowing you, Mr. Goode, you are going to always fight the good fight, and I can only pray that our brothers and sisters who are in this community will see the value of what you're doing and stand by your side, because you stood by their side for many, many years.
Well, I'm certainly hoping and praying that things will change for the better, and that we too. The last meeting we had, I talked about affordable housing. And, you know, the units up here that they've built, $1,100, $1,200 a month, all folks can't afford that.
That's very true. Well, we don't have any more time, Mr. Goode, but
Why not?
Certainly, well, because because they didn't give us, they only gave us 30 minutes. You want to advocate on our behalf on this one? You get another 30 minutes for us. But thank you so much. It's been truly an honor and a pleasure to be able to sit here with you and to get this burst of energy that I've received just from being in your presence. I thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us. And if you're part of any of the churches that we mentioned, make sure that you talk to Mr. Goode and see what you can do in order to make sure that there's affordable housing for all of us here, okay? So once again, see you next week. Bye-bye.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Focus. And if you'd like to contact us, if there's a topic you'd like to see us present or someone you'd like us to talk to, the information is right up on the screen. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Same station, same time, and Focus continues.